the fall of the Cabal.
Have you guys? So hey, was it just you that's watched that, or
No,
have all you guys?
Yeah, we're all
we've
in.
all watched it.
Yeah, me and Jackson watched it together. I red pilled my entire neighborhood. Grace
Yep.
watched it with me.
Yep, I've seen it.
Yo, what is your take? Because I will tell you this, like, I know I said it on Patty and Spomer's podcast, and I've said it a million times. Like, I like just reading up on shit and throwing it out there to see what people can dig up on it. Like, I never know exactly what the fuck's going on, or I could never be 100% positive with anything.
It's impossible.
Of course not. Yeah, nobody can.
Right? No, I mean, but you have to be like somewhat like have some kind of like not even critical thinking, but just legit common sense, right? And for me, that Fall of Cabal was one of those documentaries that, to me, wrapped up like there's like 60 fucking conspiracies in that thing.
Yeah,
like,
it was info overload, which I was taking some Spark notes. So I do have a couple of notes I would like to touch on, just a couple of things, like just a couple of what I thought were really good points that I'd like to get like your guys' opinions on. So first off was, why haven't we heard the name Charles Lieber more? That the Harvard biologist who was bought by China. They gave him $1 million, and they were giving him $50,000 a month to work to not only recruit more biologists, but also to study mind control biology. And he was just arrested like January 28th for working with China on something that would affect us just like this. Why hasn't the name Charles Lieber been all over the news?
You know what, that part really freaked me out too, because I mean, I think the one thing that documentary did for me was make me realize that there was probably some crazy fucking plan in place with this whole QAnon deal that goes back maybe to, who knows, like the fucking like 1700s, who knows?
Shit.
But like,
Absolutely.
I think, but like, you're right. Like, and that's why I thought initially that was bullshit, that whole Charles Lieber thing, because I was like, well, that's impossible in this day and age when everyone has internet and everybody can dig into shit. Like, how is it that that's the first time? I mean, for you guys, that was the first time for me. I've never even heard his name.
Yeah, I had heard just a quick snippet, like somebody said, "Hey, this Harvard biologist got arrested." That was it. That's all I had ever heard about it before watching that video.
Okay, so talk to me about this then. What's interesting is Epstein gave millions of dollars into Harvard University for that very purpose, right? Like,
His
so
eugenics,
to me,
his eugenics program.
that wasn't even the Lieber
It's Ivy League school, yeah.
thing.
What's that?
You know, it was more so that he was from Harvard. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Sorry.
No, all good. It wasn't so much Lieber for me. I figured, well, they just bought that dude off. But what was crazy is, how is it that Epstein gave millions of fucking dollars to Harvard University to, like, pretty much stimulate and like increase the strength of viruses, and then Lieber is associated with it, and now so is fucking Bill Gates. Like, that to me was a crazy, like, intertwining of people, right?
Oh yeah, that's what this documentary kind of did, was like tied together everything we've ever heard of into what we've been told so many times, that really it's all one conspiracy. And maybe that just sounds like a cop out, because I don't know what I'm talking about half the time. You know, I'm just trying to take in as much of this shit as I can. But watching that, you know, there's so much of that stuff you had heard before. And like you were saying, like, 1700s, maybe even before that. You know, when they start. I mean, we'll get to that maybe later on here, but like when they start talking about
Georgia
you know,
Guidestone, the Georgia
the
Guidestones.
well, yeah, and
the eugenics,
blood sacrifices, and all that kind of stuff. How that was documented in ancient cultures. So why do we just think we
It
have this
stopped.
disconnect like that it stopped at some point?
Yeah.
Why would it? You know, just because people are wearing suits and ties nowadays and running the world,
The
instead of,
occultic
like,
symbolism.
some badass
yeah.
headdress.
Yeah. Well,
Still
and
there.
Hollywood portrays it all the time. A lot of movies nowadays are like the goal of these people is to raise some deity from the past, some billionaire who is seemingly harmless is trying to raise some deity from the past to call the herd. Like what was that fucking movie? All the bad guys, Suicide Squad. Like their whole point was to get some fucking witch who was gonna kill all the people off. You know, like you guys see that movie? Like,
Yeah,
that shit's crazy.
I didn't see Suicide Squad, but wasn't that the? I'm gonna make myself sound like a child, which I am. But the Ninja Turtles,
Yes.
the like remake,
That's what-
animated one,
Yes.
same shit.
Yeah, they brought all those gargoyles
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
Well, yeah, and that, but I think, you know what, you made an interesting point just now, Klug, when you're like, well, I'm a child, right? Like, so I think, like, that's the whole point of this is they make what they're doing out to be something that is, like, fucking stupid and childish. Like, oh, yeah, okay, Klug, like, you're talking about, like, gargoyles again, okay. Like,
That's why I don't talk to
Right?
anyone. Yeah.
Like, that's the way- yeah, okay, but listen, man, like it's it's proven though that all this shit is fucking happening. I mean, you talk about Hollywood, and you talk about the Vatican, you talk about people in high government. I mean, I'm still not able to find out definitively, but have you guys been able to confirm like close to 70 priests now at the Vatican are dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, without seeing the
Yeah.
bodies, I have confirmed it. Yes. Like I have. That's the last stats I've heard.
But it was I sent that to you, Ryan. Like it was I saw that on Instagram, and then I looked up the website for myself, and like it was like CatholicChurch.org or something like
Yeah.
that's verified.
Well, and then the Pope was talking about it, like, and that was weird in itself. I mean, whatever, I think from a common sense perspective, if you look at like 2018 and 2019 flu season, I think there was like 500,000 people that went to the hospital for the flu. 500,000.
500.
And now they're saying there's not enough. Yeah, 500,000 people. And now they're saying there's not enough hospital beds for patients with COVID-19 and symptoms. Like, it just, to me, that seems almost like a George Soros thing where they're like putting all these fucking people cramped in a hospital and like filming shit, you know, to make it seem like it's worse than it is
Anderson
for some
Cooper
kind of,
scene in it,
yep.
Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
you're right, but
That to me doesn't make sense. So, I mean,
that's everybody's argument. Like, you know, and when you bring that up, people call you an asshole if you're like, people get sick from the flu all the time. This is no worse than a cold. This is no worse than this. You know, like, the people jump all over you for it. Like, you're not giving this virus and this crisis situation the credit that it deserves. But not a single person, including my own mother, who I talked to earlier today, not everybody's calling bullshit on it, but nobody understands. Like, nobody gets it. You know, like, nobody understands why we're being locked down, why we're being, you know, and I know that, like, we're in a pretty rural area here. It's got to be way different in cities. It's got to be way different, especially in Chicago, I would imagine. But
wouldn't we be locked down? Wouldn't we be locked down just like this all the time if they reported every case of pneumonia, every case of flu, anybody that was on a respirator because of the flu, because of pneumonia, because that is a regular thing. That's a thing that happens. And it's, staying healthy, staying away, if you're showing symptoms of something, staying away from elderly people, that should be status quo all the time.
Right.
So if they reported on this stuff all the time, like every other flu, it would be a pandemic every day. Am I wrong?
Which is that the way we're heading?
Right.
Now that they've done it once and they've flexed on us once, now they'll be able to do it. And that was kind of what you sent me earlier today. That was kind of the gist of that whole like ID 2020 thing. And
Right.
And I mean, is that what our society is going to face? Is that we're just, and everybody's playing ball, like there's no reason to like raise a stink about anything and just yet.
Yeah.
But, we're 2-3 weeks into it. What happens if it does go for months and months and months. And real quick, I have to mention this because I thought it was, well, not even funny, but a dude I work with was like, calls me out and he's like, I think it was episode 7. In the first like 5 seconds, Dustin goes, I said, this could be our last transmission. And you go, yeah, or maybe first of 17,000 hours of quarantine. And this dude at work calls me out and he's like, where the fuck do you get your numbers from? Like all mad. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, where the fuck you get your numbers from on your little podcast? Yeah, I was listening to that. You guys are no better than CNN. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, 775,000 days or whatever you said. I had no idea what he was talking about. In the first like 5 seconds of the episode, you said it super sarcastically, 17,000 hours. But then I looked up 17,000 hours in months, 15 months.
Whoa!
You almost nailed it.
I almost got it right on. 18 months was their fucking call out right now, right?
So, yeah. Follow Bet DSI is taking bets now.
Yeah.
The over-under on Dustin's prediction of 17,000 hours of quarantine.
Nailed it.
Dude, he must be in on it somehow.
Fuck.
You gotta implant in the Hell to Play podcast.
Maybe.
There's moles everywhere, man.
He's probably swimming in that Vanderbilt pool.
Right?
Yeah.
Yo, so oh my God. So can we talk about another thing? And again, this is something like a bunch of people have been sending me today. So I don't know if you've heard about this yet, but Trump announced that that chloroquine drug for malaria is been proven successful for COVID-19 patients, right? Like I think that was pretty on point for everybody. Like this is what's happening, and now I'm getting all these emails and texts that like the New York what's that dude's name? Cuomo, the governor of New York, like put a he put like a executive order, I believe this Monday, to block pharmacists from filling the prescriptions for chloroquine.
What
And I want to say that the governor of Nevada, isn't that crazy? And the governor of Nevada also followed suit and like banned doctors from prescribing chloroquine.
And wasn't that because...
Is it true? Who fucking knows? But
Yeah.
I mean, like 8 people said that shit to me.
Wasn't that one of the things was that chloroquine was an ingredient in some sort
Lysol.
of... Was it Lysol?
Lysol.
And somebody drank a fuck ton of Lysol because they're a jackass and they died. And so now they're saying that Trump is killing people by saying this shit.
I thought what it was, though, that it was, they talked about, Rogan brought it up. It was like something that you clean your fish tank with. I thought.
I don't
or
know.
something.
Oh, it was
Yeah,
fish
it was like
food,
a
wasn't it?
detergent
I think it was
or-
like fish food.
Yeah. It
It
was
was?
like something that you
Oh,
would
was
clean
it?
out a fish tank with.
Something
Well,
like
either way, it was like,
Yeah.
it was an ingredient. It was the wrong thing. It like sounded the same. And then, of course, the media reports on it that
Yeah, Trump got blamed for killing somebody because he said something, and somebody saw it in one thing, and they drank a shit ton of that, and they're dead now.
Well, yeah, and like, just like those fucking retards eating Tide Pods and shit. Come on.
Dude.
Like,
Yeah.
are you going to
Okay.
ban Tide Pods?
They're
from
gonna outlive
everybody
us
and not
all.
allow
They're gonna
people to
outlive us
wash
all.
their fucking dishes?
Yeah, dude. Oh man, since you brought up Tide Pods, I gotta. So I'm listening to. Do you listen to Larry Johnson?
Yes.
Okay, so I was
Nice.
listening. Did you? I was listening to Larry Johnson podcast where he's like, he doesn't believe this at all. So he's like, you really think, he gets all mad. He's like, you really think that the kids today are scared of COVID-19?
Yeah.
You think they're scared of that? This is a generation of kids. They're eating Tide Pods. They're eating Tide Pods. They're eating ass.
Yeah.
They're eating each other's butt.
They eat butthole. Yeah.
They're willing to put their mouth where someone's fecal matter comes out. You think they're scared of COVID-19?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just awesome. As I said, touche.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, man.
But I also have to bring up this.
What a time to be alive.
Dude, for real. So, and like you said too, we're I spend my mornings, spend my time at work, and I'm able to listen to all these things, and I'm able to listen to people that actually do research this stuff all the time, and it's totally information overload, and I'm so bad at regurgitating things. But watching that Fall of Cabal, we'll put the link to the video in our episode notes. But watching that, I mean, there's nothing in there that's far fetched, and it's super compelling. And well, I mean, yes and no, but it's like this lady knows her shit, and it's nothing that when I say nothing that's too far fetched is like. I could totally see that because the media has been caught lying to us a million times before. But this is a totally different time right now. Like we have the internet and we have all these avenues. Like the censorship hasn't caught up to the information that and the way it can come out. So, but I'm listening to Rogan talk to the Tom Segura episode from the other day.
Oh, yeah.
And they started talking about like the Tom Hanks, like the theory that he's been arrested for pedophilia, and Segura's like, oh yeah, I mean now the thing is anybody in Hollywood, super powerful Hollywood elites, they're all pedophiles now, and Rogan like dismissed this like it was the most ridiculous thing that he had ever heard, and totally trashing it, whereas that guy was pretty open to all conspiracies and theories, and we love Joe Rogan here, of course we do.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand that he has such a gigantic audience, and he probably really does need to be careful at the theories that he entertains and stuff. But, so I'm bringing all this up because he openly mocks the idea and just how ridiculous it would be that like Tom Hanks or Ellen or Steven Spielberg, all these names that were named by Isaac Cappy and others, to me, we have no idea what's going on. In the same conversation, though, after he's so far against that, and that would be just purely impossible, and they're laughing about it and how stupid it is, and they were talking about how, man, it would be nice if this COVID-19 only targeted morons that believe stuff like that. And then they like switched almost right from that to talking about Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby, two super powerful Hollywood elites that nobody thought they'd be capable of that. And then, do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, it's Tom.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks, a movie star,
Well,
everyone's idol.
Well, let's
One
dig
hand
into.
didn't do
We can go back to the Fall of Cabal and all those great Mel Gibson quotes. I mean, how
Exactly.
Mel Gibson was the A-list of A-listers. I mean, and he's quoted as saying, I got a couple of them. Hollywood studios are drenched in the blood of innocent children. Claimed the consumption of baby blood is so popular in Hollywood that it basically operates as a currency of its own. Hollywood elites are an enemy of mankind, continually acting contrary to our best interests and breaking every God-given taboo known to man. And this was, Mel Gibson, how hard was his fall after saying stuff like this? He was quoted as calling some officer sugar tits. He was apparently, quote-unquote, drunk all the time. He got a divorce that cost him $600 million, all conveniently right after he said all this stuff.
I don't
Yeah.
know exactly what happened to him, but didn't he drop some like anti-Semitic bombs or something? too?
Yeah,
that was
I
a
mean,
big
let's just
thing
add
that
it
he
to the
was
list.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but then, as we're finding, I think here's the interesting part about all this to me. Like, any kind of conspiracy is always focused around these things that are like taboo to talk about, like including the whole Kanon thing, or QAnon. Like, coming up from like the punk rock scene and like knowing how the media has portrayed Trump and all of the comments and things he's done, it's like you don't want to talk about it and be like open-minded to maybe like he's actually trying to fight against this shit. Same as like Sandy Hook, like, well, how dare you say that this could be a conspiracy? There's like dead kids that were murdered, and
Well,
like
that was the end of the
how dare
line for
you?
Alex Jones.
Yeah, that crushed Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was when everybody
Well,
turned
okay.
around like, okay,
And-
hey, that's off. Leave the kids alone.
But
That's off
everything
the table.
he said was legit.
Yeah, but that's kind of my point in all this, right? Is like everything that is like so taboo to even question, those are the false flags always. Like, because they know that, you're going to be ostracized for it by speaking your mind. Like Mel Gibson, I'm telling you, man, he probably witnessed or came close to like witnessing like real life shit around this whole adrenochrome
Same with Corey
thing.
Feldman.
I guarantee, and it was probably enough to make him fucking crazy.
Yeah. Jackson was talking about like Corey Feldman. I was thinking about that too. So I actually watched it twice because then I ended up watching it with Grace too. But Corey Feldman, who he's been painted as this just lunatic. Like he's just washed up, and he's trying to get the word out. He's making some serious accusations, and he's not doing it in a way that sounds like desperate or like a cry for attention or anything. This looks like a dude who's really fucked up and is just trying to like get his voice heard. He's been in Hollywood forever, since he was a little kid, and you would ask, I've asked myself, like, how is this dude even alive? Like, some of the shit he's saying and like what he's trying to get out. But it's almost like the more you kind of learn about this and how if what he says and what people say is true, and how evil these people can be, they might just be keeping him alive to torture the guy, to make him look like a fucking lunatic. You know what I mean? Like, this is a dude that was in some like heavy, awesome, just classic movies, and
I think he's gotten so big, like Alex Jones, that if he was killed, it would almost be blatantly like everyone would notice.
Well, and they don't need to kill him.
He's too big.
They don't need to kill him because they ruined him early. They ruined him and Corey Haim by getting him, on the alcohol and on the drugs.
There
So
you
they
go.
ruined their,
Yep.
they don't have anything to say. It was like, those are just some drunk, drug addicted fuckers. So
right. So that's what I mean. Like, the torture is almost in like, yeah, go ahead, say whatever you want. Nobody's gonna believe you. Like, nobody's gonna believe you. Like, so just him living his life is just pure torture, and they probably love it.
Well, yeah, they made him crazy, and let's be honest, man. If even half of this shit is true, like a normal human being, I don't think has the capacity to really handle this, and I think that's also why. I mean, this can be related to like the alien agenda. This can be related to the whole Satanist deal. This can be related to the Cabal and like all these years of fucking planning and like basically enslaving the human race. Like, we talk about it and it's normal for us, but I'll tell you what, man, like if you talk to my wife about this shit, she'll be like, dude, I just don't want to fucking talk about it. Like, it's not that she doesn't support me or like it's not like she thinks I'm crazy.
No, but this would be one of those instances where ignorance is bliss. Like, you're better off not knowing some of this shit.
red
now
pill's
you
a hell of a
can't.
drug. Red pill's a hell of a drug, man.
Yeah. Well, but it's true though, man. I mean, how do you really fucking, and I think that's what's interesting about this whole ordeal with the QAnon deal. And I'll be honest, like, I like shunned all of it, like in 2017 when this whole thing first started coming out with the Q bombs and the Q map and the Q drops and everything, because I immediately equated it with like Donald Trump and like all those fucking MAGA idiots that like are painted to be like racist and like fucking misogynistic and shitty. I didn't even fucking pay attention to it. And me being me, like, I will be completely honest, man. Like, I ate it up. Like, I wouldn't say believe the media, but I was like, this shit is just so out of control with the shit he says and the tweeting and blah, blah, blah. Like I ate it up and pretty much wrote him off as a fucking dirtbag, you know?
Yeah, George Soros, George Soros created the Trump derangement syndrome and got us all focused on the bullshit. And he created all those, you know, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, all of those
crisis actors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we all thought this guy was crazy. And, you know, in the fall of Cabal, it made a couple of great points, you know, towards the last, like, 3/4 of it about, like, those little hidden things that were put in there. And we all focused on the way he ridiculously drank some water. But could it be the fact that the way he drank the water and the fact that it was the Fiji water, it was the, you know,
symbolized the
or when Melania wore that coat that said "I don't care to you," and then the CEO of that company ended up fucking using child slavery, and he stepped down 6 months after. But everybody focused on what that coat said, not who made it. And what and these dudes might be playing some legit 5D chess.
JFK is white with the coat. And Melania Trump, same little jacket.
Yeah, she wore the Tiffany's thing, and then they gave, when they went and visited
bag.
the Obamas, they gave Tiffany's the blue box. You know, that was their gift. That shit's on next level.
How crazy was that?
Dude, so check this
like,
out.
That to me, for some reason, just blew my mind. I was like, wait a minute, man. Like, and I think the big thing with this Q deal is, like, how many fucking coincidences can there be?
Yeah, exactly.
Before you just say, well, fuck me.
Yeah, their thing was before really it's mathematically impossible. How many coincidences?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, so, yeah, cool. Yeah, how many times is it a coincidence before it's just mathematically impossible? Yeah. So check this out. It's like
all of it is. All of this is mathematically impossible, dude.
Right. So
it's all of it.
Watching Fall of Cabal now, because it's like, I mean, the whole Q thing, like you just said, like writing it off, and Dustin, you've said that before too. It's just like, man, it just seems like it's this series of major letdowns. But it's almost like I'm gonna liken it to like Breaking Bad. You know how like Breaking Bad was just wrote as an entire series, and like I jumped into Breaking Bad like right before the last season came out, so I was able to just like blast through everything, and then now I'm sitting here waiting.
Yeah,
that's
we
almost
watched the final
like
episode together at the same time.
Right, yeah. So like now it's like watching the Fall of Cabal, which it appears that this would be, and this could totally all be total bullshit. I'm not saying I'm 100% believing it, but while we're literally sitting at home waiting for something, we don't know what's happening right now. I guess I'm going to buy into this awesome story that like,
well, that's
it's
why
a good versus evil thing, and now like that that documentary just kind of like laid out all the clues, all the mega clues, you know.
Well, that's why they call the Q drops crumbs, because all the crumbs put together make a cookie, but one crumb on the ground doesn't look like shit, but when you put them all together, it's a fucking cookie, man.
Right. So now here we are. It's like we got all the information all at once, and now we're just sitting here waiting like for the finale, you know, going into the election this year. Like there's just so much going on, right? You know, like, and we're literally experiencing something that I don't think anybody's dealt with before. I know my parents haven't, my grandparents have. Like we're all sitting inside. We're all not, you know. Like,
this is unprecedented, man. And like the way I see it, I mean, it has to be real. Like it's too fucking far-fetched and crazy, but yet so spot on in every single way. Like I've said this a million times, man. Either this is 100% fucking real, or we're all legit in a fucking simulation, like without question. Like I feel like there's no other way. There's no other gray area. Either like this is all some fucking crazy matrix, legit, or everything that we have kind of researched and like dug into over the last God knows how many years, like it all is fucking connected, and we're not. No one's crazy, you know. Like, I mean, did you see the schedule on in Gitmo? How all the fucking shit has been postponed?
Yeah, the military tribunals. Yeah, you just sent me that. All the tribunals have been rescheduled.
What the fuck is that about? Come on, man.
I don't know.
Like,
yeah, dude, he sent me that to make room for all the pedophile trials.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they quadrupled their size. Fuck.
Well, right, and they all of a sudden these floating prisons were like right outside of the East Coast.
Yeah, well, Wuhan. That Wuhan.
Have you seen that?
I didn't see the East Coast one, but that Wuhan hospital that they built, every window of that hospital, inside and outside, had bars on the window. Like, and they said
no shit.
100% real videos from inside and outside. Every window has bars on it. It's a prison. It's a psych ward, because they said this thing that's been released has been fucking with people's psyche. It hasn't. It's tearing up their insides, but it's fucking with their psyche too. That's the 12 Monkeys video that I sent you. Was that this thing is it's a lot more than just a flu. It's a fucking and that's where that Harvard professor comes in with the nanobots fucking with your brain, man. I think it failed. That experiment failed.
Okay, so here, what's your take? I love that thing that you sent me. Klug sent it, Dustin, to me earlier today.
The 12 Monkeys thing?
And I thought it.
Yeah, I sent it
that's fucking fantastic.
Yo, it's actually awesome. And what's funny is, man, I think we're just so indoctrinated that, like, I don't even remember half of that shit from the movie. I was like, oh, yeah, that did happen. You're right. Like, oh, that's fucking weird.
Ago.
Like,
yeah, 25 years ago, dude. 95 that came out.
Well, yeah, but, I mean, everything, the whole Fall Cabal thing, to me, like, there is just so much that makes perfect sense. And if just maybe one or two things were, like, kind of, like, snowballing, I'd be, like, fine. But, yo, like, what's up with the fucking celebrities, like, losing their shit online? Like, I mean, and like, not just being, like, cooped up and, like, being funny and weird. Like, they're, like, legit fucking
Madonna
out of their goddamn mind.
Madonna had a weird fucking naked bath with rose petals.
Yeah, singing about
Ellen couldn't stand still.
Yeah,
for
Ellen was being
5
weird.
seconds.
What's her name from Natural Born Killers was like going fucking nutso in a car. That one chick, she was just fucking losing her gourd.
Dude, I mean, we can throw in a dash of Chet Hanks too. Like what I said to Ryan, like, you know, he makes a video saying totally totally mocking everybody. Yeah,
chest.
Totally mocking everybody, saying, "Oh yeah, you know, I hear all you Trump morons talking, and yeah, me and my family were totally in the Illuminati, like, you know, eat babies, blah blah blah. I'm actually late for a blood sacrifice right now." And then his follow-up video though was incredible. Yeah, and he has the all-seeing eye tattooed on his chest. Bad choice.
Yeah.
But he then makes a follow-up video, like, engaging with all the haters, you know, like saying, like, all right, you fucking idiots, I was obviously kidding in that last post, blah blah blah. And I told Ryan, I'm like, dude, when you start engaging with the haters, aren't you just validating everything they're saying?
Yep.
You know, shut the fuck up. And that dude, I don't know who that guy is. I've never heard of Chet Hanks before.
No. Same.
I have a hard time believing, like, he doesn't even look like Tom Hanks'
No, it looks
son. But
nothing like.
why have we heard, like, nothing from Tom Hanks? Nothing at all. Like, why? Like, Tom Hanks, like, volunteered to be the spokesperson to say, like, "Yep, me and Rita down here in Australia, we got the coronavirus. No big deal. Like we're just laying low." Why isn't he? He's on fucking Instagram. He made the post on Instagram. This is a worldwide fucking pandemic. Come on, Tom. You're everybody's favorite.
He's
Saving
the poster
Private
boy.
Ryan,
Yep.
Forrest Gump, like you're Captain Sully. You're every man's hero. Well, make some fucking Instagram live videos and tell us how you're doing. Tell us how to deal with this because we're all shitting our pants here because we don't know what the fuck we're in for. But yet nothing. It's like radio silence from this
Okay.
guy.
Well, what about Rita Wilson, dude? And like doing that weird fucking rap that like I was like, man, like I know all the QAnons are like tearing those things apart, trying to find like the codes and the like comms for everything. But like, you would think that given their status and like to your point, Klug, like they would want to be like the spokesman to be like, hey, everything is fine. You know what?
Calm
Like
us down.
this is going to be fine.
Give us some hope. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and look at, I find the whole Oprah shit fucking crazy. Like the Oprah connection. I find, man, there's just so much right now. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it's like everything we've always wanted. In like it's like 50 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag.
Well, yeah, I think the fact that Tom just so happened to be in Australia, the focus of all those fires, the focus of the new smart cities, like that shit ain't coincidental. Why did he just so happen to be in Australia, the epicenter of
Agenda 2030.
Yes, and I think that's where they're gonna retreat to. I think they're gonna try to create Australia as their new fucking their sanctuary. Honestly, you know, they burned all that shit down to create the smart cities, and then they're going to use the rest of the open land to have their way with it. That's my thought.
Well, you know what? If in Australia, man, you know, if you have a cross in Australia, it's automatically an upside down cross. You know, so that makes perfect sense.
Absolutely.
Satanus.
Oh shit, yo! What about so like I know there was a lot of talk about the Google bans being lifted, and like when you Google, and I tried it, like Google like the best president ever, and then you like click on images, and it's all images of Trump, like every single one.
Did
great.
did that only last temporarily, or is that still going down right now? Because you cannot,
I don't know.
You cannot
I
research
I don't know.
Pizzagate
I'll
because
have to
Evan
check.
was sorely
But, like-
disappointed when he's like, dude, I didn't know about this Pizzagate shit. Then I look it up on Google, man. You can't find anything about it. The first 50 pages are just shit debunking it. I'm like, exactly.
Oh no, I'm getting Abraham Lincoln first one.
Oh, dude, but for like a day, you could research adrenochrome and
Yep.
all this shit.
Oh no, hey, write down. If I scroll just down, I'm getting Trump.
All right.
So we got a couple.
Yeah, man. So here's another question I have for you guys. Like, in part of this whole takeover, supposedly, there's been talks about like realigning the satellites and like all of the control as far as like geoengineering and weather control. And I forget, I don't know if it was you, Klug, that sent me this shit. Somebody just sent me that like there was like a 10-mile lake that just appeared out of nowhere in like Death Valley or something. Did you guys hear about this at all?
That was not me.
No.
No.
Or did you hear about all these fucking like earthquakes that
Yeah,
have been happening? Like, and if they're at like a 5.5,
Salt Lake
always?
City had a 7.8, a quote unquote 7 point. Yeah, no, that was the Salt Lake City was a 5.5, right in their coronavirus quarantine area or some shit, right?
yeah. Well, and then now, like if you go on any of those Q message boards, there's a lot of discussion on the DUMBs, the deep underground military bases,
Yeah.
and that like they're using the fucking geoengineering weaponry like the HARP system to basically destroy and map out all of these DUMBs. I don't know how fucking. I mean, that to me was kind of like a crazy stretch, but like, how is it that all of a sudden we have all of these fucking earthquakes everywhere that are 5.5?
I disagree that that's a stretch, because last year the China Lake earthquake was directly under it was the China Lake military base. It was directly underneath a dam. It was right there was a if you look last year, I think it was September-ish. Just look up China Lake, and it was an earthquake that was right underneath a military base, and they knew there was a deep underground military base right underneath that. So China Lake, it started last year.
So we actually talked about that, I think, on episode 7 when we had Jackson read that. So this is a couple weeks ago. We had Jackson read that thing that was all part of the.
Yeah, what was that?
This-
5-step.
The
Kinda
COVID-19
rule, yeah.
this
Cover
deals
ups
with like
or-
the fall of the Cabal thing,
Mhm.
where they're like destroying all of their hideouts, basically. The dumps.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, and here's the other thing too. Like, now you've got to ask yourself. To me, yes, we know that COVID's a legit virus, right? We know that it was pretty much created, and there's like a patent for it, and it was developed in Wuhan. Which, if you read like that book Edge of Darkness, or if you've ever seen the movie Edge of Darkness, like they talk about the same exact scenario happening in Wuhan in a book from like fucking like the 90s, I think it was from.
Yeah, there was this Netflix, or not, just a movie that came out in 2020 called Contagion, and it deals with the same contagion. It's it deals with the same thing that's going on right now, really. So it's almost subliminal messaging and making it seem normal when it does come around.
That's where they got the "don't touch your face" bullshit from.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. So we know it's a real virus, obviously, and it's affecting people in different ways. Some people are on the fence and saying that Trump somehow tainted the because Wuhan, that same facility, supposedly is the facility that was marketing or creating the adrenochrome. No, that's the big concern now.
I did not hear that. That would be earth shattering for me. That would be pretty crazy. I did not hear that. That's wild as hell.
Ryan, you just blew our
I've
minds.
got a couple of
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yo, dude, listen, I don't know. I mean, again, here's my thing. I talk to a million different people, and I'm like a weird nerd about this shit. But, like, again, the deeper, you guys know, it's the same shit. Like, the deeper you go, the more you're left like, God, I'm fucking a dumb shit, or like, I'm the smartest person in the world. You know?
The more you know, the more you know that you don't know shit.
Yeah. You put that on a fucking
so
shirt.
what I'm hearing is that like adrenochrome was manufactured in that facility, and there's people in our realms that think that it was tainted, or the virus rather was tainted. It's some fucking weird conspiracy about who started this whole thing. Like, was it Gates connected to the whole Epstein thing with risked it because of the whole Event 201 deal and like that weird ID 2020 shit, which is legit fact. Like those are facts. Those are not conspiracies.
Yeah, there's
Those
plush
are fucking
toys.
facts.
There's plush toys to prove it.
Right. It's crazy. I mean, that is enough to make you fucking lose your shit. But then there's talks that the reason why all these celebrities and fucking pedophiles are getting it is because whatever was shipped out of Wuhan is like what they're using. Like, it's like a form of adrenochrome. and it was like tainted with the COVID-19 virus.
And that's why the celebrities are getting it?
Right, like all the celebrities and like the fucking Vatican priests and shit, and like all these people in high levels of the government are getting it all over the world.
So that's like that's like a covert, like, to take down they tainted their drug. They basically fentanyled their adrenochrome with some COVID. Holy shit! I did not hear that. That's wild as fuck, man. That's wild.
So if you know like anybody who came down with COVID-19,
we all need to go look at that and try to fucking make sense of it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, man. Wow.
I agree. I heard a crazy one. Well, I think it was on that video that I sent you guys that it was that was a bioweapon, and in that the reason why it broke out where it did was because it was a deal gone wrong, and there was a gunfight in that fucking market. So it wasn't like bat soup or anything. It was actually like nobody released this bioweapon on purpose, but it was released because it was being sold. And the shit went bad, and like the deal went bad, went sour, and it like was released because shit went wild. But
it smells like fish in here.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and again, here's the crazy thing about life as we know it. Like, no matter what any of us say or hear or pull up on the fucking internet, is really that like far fetched anymore. Right. You know, you got like. I mean, oh, dude, this is what I wrote this down for you guys because I thought it was crazy. Do you guys know that the name of Google's GPU, graphics processing unit, is named Adreno?
Yes. Yep.
And then they released Google Chrome in 2008.
Yep.
Obtained the GPU in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Dude. It's hidden in plain sight, just like the logo for Chrome is the 3 6s. Like the symbolism will be their downfall, says the Q.
Mm-hmm.
But that's so in these times.
Isn't it true though? Like, look at the weird child molester shit that's like on the fucking Pope's robe and shit. Come on.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, dude, that
Disney
is so crazy.
Oh, that all those pictures that they showed. I was just like, I was losing my shit, like, because I knew about like the one with the dick, and where you, like, if you had that one, you could sell it for like $50,000. I forget which fucking.
Oh, the Little Mermaid.
Yeah,
the golden.
So I knew about that one, and I knew there was a couple other like small things that you could catch because I had heard off the cuff that, you know, like some Disney illustrators were pervs, you know, and I had heard that. Yeah, to see all those videos or all those pictures, it was just like constant boom, 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 boom. I couldn't fucking believe it. There was so many hidden symbols in every Disney movie with child pedophile rings, all those crazy things. Wild.
Yeah, and I guess it's not that hard to really not hard to believe that kind of evil exists at those levels. It's weird that these are kids movies, and you know, we can just go about our daily life just, I don't know, I mean, they're kids movies, you know. It seems so innocent on the surface, but then you get into what these companies are actually capable and how much money that they actually have. Yeah, the whole Monsters Inc. isn't the whole premise of it
harvesting adrenochrome.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, Walt Disney just certified pedophile.
33rd degree Mason.
Yeah. And so how do you feed yourself that pedophilia? It's you make your own movie company and feed it all to children.
Well, like you talked about in the Fall of Cabal, like everybody who owns who starts a child rescue company is fucking
right. And who they didn't mention in the documentary, like including Sandusky, dude. You know, like that's not at that high level, but that dude had like rescue missions and stuff. You know, for
look at Laura Silsby going to Haiti and literally getting busted, like kidnapping like 30 fucking kids, and then who comes down to save her? fucking the Clintons. And then she's like in charge of Amber Alert. Like that, what the fuck?
Oh my! Yeah,
and she changes her name, so now she's not Laura Silsby anymore. What the fuck? Convicted in Haiti.
So yeah, listen, Dustin, like that to me, I think was probably the biggest eye opener. Right? Is like, first of all, she gets caught. Like legit hijacking like 32 fucking Haitian kids.
Kids in van. Kids in van. In van.
Yeah. Hey, where are you going with that? Oh,
so she's like, oh, sorry about that. Sorry. Yeah, I'll put it back. I'll put it back. We're fine.
Oh, these aren't mine? Yeah. Oh, I thought that was your peanut butter.
That's like walking out of the self-checkout with an extra fucking pound of ham from the deli or some shit.
Except you'd be walking out of the self-checkout with 4 cartloads of lobster. Ma'am?
Jameis Winston style. Jameis Winston style.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know. It's like that old Dave Chappelle sketch. Like, I'm sorry, officer. I didn't know I couldn't do that.
He looks over at his friend. You know what? I did know I couldn't do that.
Yeah, she knew she couldn't do that. Dude, stealing kids.
Okay, so how on earth is that fucking possible? Just that one instance in itself. Like, the Clintons have the fucking Haitian relief in like this non-for-profit deal. Laura fucking Silsby gets caught hijacking like 30 fucking kids. She gets rescued by the Clintons, gets given a fucking job. Like, how on earth is that, like, just happening? Just like, oh yeah, we're fine. Like, how is that even possible to like get off that easy on something so heinous if everyone in life isn't fucking connected to it somehow? Yeah. Like it's just obvious to me. It's
right.
Like, and like what do you say to somebody? Like people, it's like the whole ignorance is bliss thing, right? Like people would rather be like, oh, I don't want to hear about that, or oh, that can't be true, or that's too crazy, like that's a conspiracy, because the truth is fucking terrifying.
Yeah, well, that's why that's kind of been a theme, I guess, in our conversations is at those elite levels, which are kind of impossible for us to actually fathom what that must be like, what that kind of wealth and power must be like. But when you are at those levels, at those elite levels, stealing a bunch of kids from Haiti, like you have no respect or.
You know, honestly, I've been meaning to bring this analogy up. It's been pure gold, and I forget about it every time. But it is no different. Like the way, so I'm gonna bring the way the elites think into everybody's fucking living room, and here it is. All right, when you're playing Grand Theft Auto, and when you start playing Grand Theft Auto, your objective is to get money because you need the money to get the fucking guns, get the ammo, to fuck shit up. But eventually, once you play Grand Theft Auto for a little while, you've got like $3 million. And the money is fucking worthless to you now.
You also have a few cheat codes.
Yeah. Yeah. But now the money doesn't mean anything. And what do you start doing? You start just blowing shit up. And you start fucking killing people. Because that's now what makes the game fun. So how is real life not any different for these fucking elites than what Grand Theft Auto is to us?
That's what I mean. They have no value for human life at the common surface level people like us.
Yeah.
Which is why what's happening right now.
Well, they said they look at us like zeros and ones. Mm-hmm. What do you look at Grand Theft Auto people like? Fucking zeros and ones, and you blow them up, and it's not a fucking problem.
And that's how that 12 Monkeys documentary you sent this morning started with that clip of Brad Pitt saying like, you know, once you're not buying a bunch of shit, you know, because you're a consumer.
Once you stop being a consumer.
Yeah, once you stop being a consumer, then what are you? Mentally ill.
Yeah.
So that's drinking the Kool-Aid, is just thinking that all there is to this life is material shit and taking out, you know, like taking on more and more debt because they're allowing you to like consume because then they literally own your life.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and they're throwing it out there for you. And I'm talking about the banks, and the banks at the highest levels is the cabal, right? I mean,
yes, it is.
Well, Federal Reserve is not, you know, that's a funny thing too. I mean, They should have just called it like owned by the government company.
Yeah.
Like, it's so ridiculous because it's not owned by the fucking government.
Right.
It's called the Federal fucking Reserve.
And,
it's all privately owned.
Yeah.
Like, and the only 3 presidents in life, as you guys probably know, and everyone knows now, like, all of our fucking stories now are like, oh yeah, I heard about that. Like, oh yeah, I heard about the elite drinking babies, but oh yeah. Like, everyone knows about it, but like, the thing I worry about in all of this is, like, if this whole Q thing is, it doesn't happen for some reason, like, then what is life going to be like? Like, that's my, like, legit worry.
Oh, definitely, man. That's definitely a concern of mine, and that's kind of what I meant before by saying, like, while we're sitting here in our quarantine, waiting to see what the next steps are, I guess I'm going to hope that it is real. I hope that is true, because that's like the only hopeful message right now.
Well, that's the only hope we have. But like, so Dustin, this was on the 8chan, and I snapped this like right before our call. So it got released yesterday, and it says Mnuchin just bankrupted the Fed. The market liquidity is now controlled by Steve Mnuchin of the Treasury Department. It also means we own all central bank requests for credit for all 186 foreign nations.
That's interesting, because the way that this bailout is built is basically they're going to give $200 to $500 billion to the Fed to then distribute across big businesses. So basically what they're doing, they're really being this is no different than the 2008 bailout, where they gave all the banks the money to buy up everybody's houses and then kick everybody out of their house. They're distributing the wealth back to the big business, and they're going to be they're redistributing the wealth back to the top, is what this bailout is going to do. And it's hidden. They're making it sound like they're giving us this break, and all they're doing is redistributing the wealth back to the top, just like they did in 2008.
Well, they tried, and you saw, like, there's tons of politicians that were posting, like, excerpts from this bailout bill, and it had all sorts of weird shit in regards to, like, harvesting, like, mystery ballots to, like, not having to show your ID to vote, and all of these other fucking weird, like, civil rights things, like abortion stuff.
Yep. You couldn't investigate voter fraud. Couldn't investigate, like, basically, you know, you couldn't, like, you know how, like, if there's, like, a more than a 2% difference in a vote, it's technically voter fraud. Like, they would be getting rid of that.
Yep. Well, so my take is, because, you know, Trump and Lincoln and Kennedy were the only presidents that wanted to go back to the gold standard. Right? So I find it interesting, too, that one of the first things Trump did when he was in office that never gets talked about is this bill that allows the government to take all of your wealth and possessions if you are connected to child trafficking.
Yep.
So to me, what my thought process is, Trump doesn't give a shit. He'd make it a $10 trillion, because what's going to happen, and this is just my take, is if this is all going down the way it seems, we're going to literally apprehend all of the fucking elite and redistribute their wealth, break down the Federal Reserve, and then we're going to run off the gold standard. And then all of these bailouts really are just coming from the fucking trillions of dollars from all of these pedophiles that they've been able to uncover throughout this whole process.
I mean, I hope you're right, because the fractional reserve banking that we have right now is what's destroying us. And the fact that, you know, they can lend they can lend $10,000 to every dollar that they have is fucking insane, and it's what's put us in the debt that we're at right now. So yeah, if we go back to a dollar for dollar lending system, and if we, they could easily get rid of the issue that we have if they absorbed the debt that we have now and got rid of the fractional reserve system. We could easily get rid of the issues that we have, the trillions of dollars that we have right now.
I just listened to.
I don't think there would be any debt. If we were able to commandeer all the money from all of these elites that are involved in child. I mean, dude, everyone is involved in this fucking child trafficking thing. It's fucking, it's like unfathomable.
Yeah.
And think about all the money that they fucking have, dude. Like that, themselves would be the bailout. Like just that fucking 1% of people would be the bailout for debt for the entire globe, or globe, as they say in the biz.
Good one, Ryan. Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, that's that is kind of what that kind of said too. The whole.
So basically, turn the
rundown.
1% upside down, redistribute the 1% back to the 99%.
Robin Hood theory.
Yeah, there we go. Now we got the track for the story of this round. Yeah, dude, I just listened to I think it was Grimerica with Peter Schiff, and he was talking about, like Peter Schiff, just financial guru, talking about how like this, and I'm not smart enough to understand all this, but just, we were on a huge, crazy bubble economy as it was, and now this coronavirus is going to be what they're using as like the pin to pop it. But he's coming at this from a completely different angle. Again, I'm hoping that I hope this like fairy tale superhero scenario that the whole Q thing is true, because that's
the whole Robert Kennedy. That was really what made it would make it a superhero movie.
The
If
JFK
Robert,
Jr.
the JFK
yeah,
Jr.
JFK Jr. Yeah, wait,
Yes.
is it Robert Kennedy?
Spoiler alert, but I guess if you're this far into the podcast, I mean, probably do a little thing.
No, it's funny, but if you've ever followed Q, you've heard the JFK Jr. thing. Is he alive? And it's funny because like I was watching the video and I was like I was soaking it up. I was like, damn, this, like, she's coming with some good shit. And then she started in on the JFK Jr. thing, and I was like, fuck, because I had seen a lot of it, because there was summer of last year there was a huge JFK Jr.'s alive push on the QAnon boards, and there was a lot of when it first came out, there was a lot of good stuff, but then the naysayers came out, and a lot of people that I follow, like Praying Medic, couple of Jordan Sather, a couple other people, they kind of debunked it a little bit. So when she started talking about the JFK Jr. thing, I was like, man, I don't know if I can believe this. Now it kind of made me question everything she talked about. But then she actually came with some pretty good points. And I'm not going to say that JFK Jr. is alive, but I do think what I bought into was that Donald Trump was good friends with JFK Jr. and he was like, "Fuck these motherfuckers!
Wanted to avenge
Here we
him.
go! Like we're gonna tear this. We're gonna tear this some bitch down. I got the money to do it. I got the power to do it. We're gonna do it."
And he doesn't
Well,
give
how
a
about
shit.
that crazy motherfucker that shows up to all his
Vincent
rallies, though?
Fuchska.
That does line up. Like the facial recognition shit does line up. I'm not gonna.
It has a new nose every fucking television.
That was my only response.
Like a new nose.
Like Ryan was like, you sent me like 4 or 5 times, like, did you finish it yet? You finish it yet? You finish it yet? And then I finally just texted him, Vincent Fuchska 2020.
You know what though? Like, one thing I will say is it makes life better. I don't give a shit what anybody says, man. Like, this, whatever this is, it is way too thought out for anybody to really say, oh, well, this is just a bunch of fucking idiots, like, making shit up on a message board. Like, whoever is releasing those fucking Q drops is definitely part of whatever the hell is going on. Like, the elite are so powerful that, to me, it's funny that fucking out of all people in life, fucking Trump like, is the one person that everyone loses their mind over. Like, every media outlet fucking hates Trump and tries to fucking, like, rabble rouse everybody and fucking muckrake the system into thinking like he's doing all these fucking horrendous things. When, like, meanwhile, you got Hillary fucking killing like 100 fucking people over the last fucking 20 years.
Yeah,
and everyone's like, oh, that's fucking great. And like Joe Biden fucking like uncomfortably touching fucking kids and like finger banging chicks in his office.
Yeah.
Like against their will. And they're, oh, he's a great guy. Like Bill Clinton. You know, here's another crazy thing. The whole Masonic thing with the 33, right? You guys
33 dads,
like that.
Yeah.
The 33rd level of like the Masonic order. The 33rd parallel of the Earth, so to speak, is always been like a crazy line of psychic energy. Like if you ever watched that, have you guys watched that documentary Hellier about like the trolls, the Kentucky cave trolls or whatever?
No.
Are you talking about Ozarks on Netflix?
Yes, right. Yeah.
Yes,
I have
it's
seen
on
it.
Amazon, I think. I'll send you a snapshot. But they find out that this area in Kentucky with all this weird shit happening is on the 33rd parallel. A lot of the prisons and like death camps are all in the 33rd parallel. And guess who was fucking born on the 33rd parallel?
Hillary Clinton.
Bill Clinton.
Whoa.
No joke.
Damn.
Mind blown.
Dude.
And that dude
Right?
does look like he's suffering from a bit of a lack of adrenochrome right now. My God.
Yeah.
Yo, did you see the pictures of Sharon Stone?
Oh yeah, she looks like shit.
In
Her
like a 7-day period, she looks like she's aged like 40 years.
dude, Kathy Griffin, like,
Dude,
oh my
it totally makes sense to me that like that this could be going down right now, because even in the last 4 years since Trump was elected, just how different the culture is and how different information is, you know, like how just alternative media, you know, podcasts, and just I think everybody, like you were like how we kicked this whole thing off, Ryan, when you were saying like everybody, it seems like maybe not everybody, but probably more people than not are skeptical and questioning the mainstream media narrative and what's actually being pushed, which only tells you that they're losing grip a little bit, right?
They are.
Right.
Yep.
So when everybody's questioning what's going on, and it's almost, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, more people have like an apathetic attitude towards it, just like, I don't.
Well, because they only think about, well, you know, the great point that Sam Tripoli always brings up is that they think about, like, they look at Hillary like a grandma, and they're like, my grandma could never do this, and they put her in the light of like somebody that they know, and they don't realize the level that these people fucking live on is so far above our plane of existence. It's not, you can't fathom the emotional disconnect that they have with what's going on. It's no different. Like I said, it's no different than if you could go around and kill 1 million people in Grand Theft Auto and not give a shit. And it's no different than they would do that in real life.
Yeah.
Yep. So there was another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, because I knew that you were like digging into all this Q shit. There is another drug, and I'm trying to find the article, man. I thought I had written it down here. It's called carbazochrome. Have you heard of this?
No, I have not. Carbazochrome.
So,
I'm looking it up right now. Ceases blood flow by causing the aggregation and adhesion of platelets in the blood to form platelets. I'm stupid. Ceasing blood flow from an open wound.
It's like it cauterizes a wound type of thing?
Yeah, yeah. Let me look at a Reddit.
So Reddit. No, you're right. It's the same drug, but oh fuck, man, I gotta find this goddamn article. So basically, it also it gives you the ability to do things without consequence.
Yeah,
it's almost like a schizophrenic.
What I'm getting, it's a stable form of adrenochrome, basically.
What?
And yeah, it just seems like it just significantly increases its blood clotting effects. So it just seems like a adrenochrome on steroids almost, or is it like a variation of it?
Yeah. So a lot of okay. So I don't know where you found, if you just Googled it or what. I'm looking for this article. But basically, to Dustin's point, like when you're in Grand Theft Auto, you don't give a shit, because it's just a game. And, we are always asking ourselves, like, fuck, man, like, how could people legit do this? Like, it's fucked up. Like, but this drug it's very similar to adrenochrome, but what the main focus of this article is that it allows you to basically like schizophrenically like separate yourself from your actions. So while there's a very low amount of prescriptions for the drug, there's like a huge level of production for the drug, which I think is crazy.
So I kind of I want to ask Pat about all this stuff. Like, our buddy Pat, Out of Hand podcast. He lived in LA for what, 10 years, 12 years? I mean, he worked in the industry, he worked in the entertainment industry. And, this drug allows you to do things without consequence. I guess I think of LA as being, and, we still have friends that live there and everything, but there are people out there and people in this world that are willing to do whatever it takes just to be famous. Like, that's what people want to be. People want to be in movies. And they'll do, they'll do whatever it takes. So it's not that far-fetched. I mean, to
you just want,
whatever it takes to be a part of the club, right? Mm-hmm. So then if someone's offering you whatever drugs, if that's what like you're trying to make it to the next level, and you're getting good with the elites. I mean, it's all a big club, right?
These elites are like, how far are you willing to go? What's the farthest someone's willing to go to get there?
That's what I'm saying. I bet there's a shitload of people. Young people fly out to LA every year, move out to LA every year to try to break their way into the entertainment industry, hoping that they're going to be the next big thing.
We were talking about that. All the kids from high school, all the funny kids from high school, just all of them go to Hollywood thinking they're gonna make it, and
right. And you can't tell me that they're not willing to do some shady shit if that's what it's gonna be. I mean, it's happened.
Yep.
Look at the whole Harvey Weinstein thing. That's all those testimonies. And I'm not victim blaming or whatever. I'm saying it's nasty on both sides. I'm saying it's nasty that there's a dude using his power to, take advantage of people. But I guess I'm also thinking that there is, it's kind of a two-way street. And I bet a lot of people are willing to do some shady shit to get to the next. They might not be proud of it. They might not like it. I mean, who would like it? But if that's what it takes, like, they're willing to do whatever it is. Right?
Yeah, well, how crazy is Johnny Depp? And how much like shit does Johnny Depp look right now? Johnny Depp looks like fucking dog shit. And I wanted to bring
he always look like dog shit, and he's just always wearing like weird makeup or something?
Well,
but no, I agree.
Yeah, he's always looked like dog shit. In the movie we've all immortalized, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. We've all fucking got drunk, messed up, whatever, and watched that movie. But we've never really paid attention to the quote, and I had to pull this shit up in here. What they talk about. So in the book, the Fear and Loathing book, he describes taking a dose of a powerful hallucinogen called adrenochrome, the drug notoriously sinister in circles of alternative research, pure adrenaline allegedly only obtained from the gland of a soon-to-be dead or recently deceased human being. So in the book, he received the drug from what he calls a satanist freak. He says, never mind, he said, it's absolutely pure. I shook my head sadly. Jesus, what kind of monster client have you picked up this time? There's only one source for this stuff. He nodded. The adrenaline glands from a living human body. I said, it's no good if you get it out of a corpse. I know, he replied, but the guy didn't have any cash. He's one of those Satanism freaks. He offered me human blood, said it would make me higher than I'd ever been in my life. He laughed. I thought he was kidding, so I told him I'd just as soon have an ounce or so of pure adrenochrome, or maybe just a fresh adrenaline gland to chew on. This, of course, then they said, this, of course, appears to be fiction or a joke in the script. However, it gets cumulatively more bizarre. And, like, how wild and shit is that? Like, just talking about that stuff.
Right, and that could be him talking shit, but it's not when it's then brought up by countless other people. And it's a real thing. I don't know. I mean, it's terrifying. It's terrifying, and I don't think it's far-fetched at all.
And that was a movie we all fucking we idolized. We loved watching that movie. I loved watching that movie.
When did that movie come out, by the way?
About.
Did that movie also come out in like 95?
Yeah, it was mid-90s.
Dude, you know how many awesome fucking movies came out in 1995, 1994?
Yeah, it was great. That was Mallrats' time. Or not Mallrats, but Clerks' time.
Billy Madison, Above the Rim, Menace to Society.
Yeah, it was
Dumb and Dumber. Oh, it was incredible.
Yeah, why they gotta fuck it up for us now, man? We can't enjoy anything now.
But I guess though, I'm not saying that just to I'm not trying to change the subject at all. I'm just saying it's like that comes out and you just kind of you hear that in the movie, you listen to the movie because it was a great movie. So you're just like, oh, I'm just watching a movie, kind of forgetting that it's actually, sort of an autobiography or
it is. Yeah. That was like him writing his stories about following those fucking dirt runs, those ATV fucking whatever races.
Yeah, and I know that we've just been completely kind of all over the place, and definitely whoever listens to this needs to watch probably Follow the Cabal first, because that's kind of what we keep going back to here. But this kind of gets, and I'll let you guys take it here because I gotta use the can. But the whole now I'm blanking on his name. The dude that ran Comet Pizza.
Podesta.
It wasn't Podesta.
No, or Alfontes.
Yeah, James Alfontes.
Yeah. Also a Rothschild.
Right,
Rothschild.
easily verified as a Rothschild, and just all that was one of the most disturbing parts of that whole thing, which was also weird, Ryan, because that's
5,
that's when I hit you up. Episode 5, just all of a sudden missing. I was like, dude, what happened to episode 5?
Yeah, what happened to that?
So he shot me
every fucking stream, every single channel that had it. Miraculously,
you got a copy. You got a copy of 5?
Yeah, on the Vital Brad's channel.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
He's got the whole thing, start to finish.
Because you sent me that
3-hour,
copy, but then I just watched it I watched every section on YouTube, so I didn't watch the full. So I missed 5.
Oh, so you missed 5.
I missed 5.
Also, episode 1 was taken off of there too. I got pissed.
Well, episode 1 was just a lot it was basically like a
introduction,
like a spark notes of what we all know
like
already. Yeah, it was. I mean, it's a good little refresher. If you had a couple things you might have forgotten, whatever. But
the Soros stuff, I think. I mean, we all probably know that because we're all interested in this weird bullshit. But like any normal person was like, what? Like, there wasn't like people didn't walk 40 miles a day and flip flop for their freedom. Like,
man, I think all those photos that they bring up of like not only with like those refugees, but any like the disaster photos that they bring up where they show like they've got the people taking the photos behind the cameramen, and the cameramen are in like shorts and and t-shirts, and then the people in front of the camera are like just bundled up and look like it's like or like Anderson Cooper kneeling in a fucking ditch, like what the fuck,
man? Hilarious. How do you know that shit happens all the time? And again, man, it's not a popular theory. This whole Q thing gets a lot of fucking pushback from many conspiracy people because they too have fallen to this like fake guise of the media on Trump.
Because they do that on purpose.
It's not popular to like Trump, man. You're viewed like as a fucking racist. and like a white privileged shit kid if you are a Trump supporter. That's just how the world views you.
Yeah, and I honestly, like, I was watching a couple hours of QAnon shit a day last year, and then I actually backed out of it a little bit because I felt on an island a little bit because nobody I was talking to was as in deep on Q shit, and I was like, fuck, am I going off on a fucking crazy tangent here? Like, so I actually backed off of Q for a while because but like what you're saying, it's like you start to feel it when other, nobody else is willing to listen to a different narrative than what's force fed to them by the alphabet companies. Like, you start to feel like you're on an island. So I actually had backed off on it for a little while. Not saying that I stopped believing it, but I stopped, like I would watch Praying Medic, I would watch Jordan Sather. I would tune in every day to see their newest post because I was so into it. But then for a while it was just like, fuck, is it too much?
Well, it's the beauty of intention, man. And I say this all the time too, like everything is about your intention. And I feel like when so many media outlets put this certain intention in play about like how they're going to portray Trump and like anyone that follows him or whatever, like that in itself has kind of prevented a lot of people initially from even touching it. Like even like legit skeptical, like good conspiracy based people that like don't believe everything but want to stay open and critical, right? Mm-hmm. Like that to me is the most interesting part about it, because you're almost like ostracizing all the people that I love you. That's my wife.
Love you too.
Oh, we all love her.
She's great. Like, there's so much information now. Like, any conspiracy theorist has to at least acknowledge that this Q thing is probably the biggest information drop of all time.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We almost we talked about going to the Q meetup last year in DC. It was like fucking August or some shit. Like, I remember I talked about going to it, and then I tuned in live, but there was only like 50 people there.
The Anarchapulco?
No, not no. We're going to Anarchapulco. Like, we're all going to Anarchapulco. Like, that's no doubt. But there was a Q meetup in DC. Just far, like, I think it was on like the lawn of the Washington Monument, and like I was like, I almost went. I wanted to go, but there only ended up being like 50 people that showed up. But it was just, I don't know, man. They so much great information. It's the narratives that are spewed by the alphabet companies, and knowing that guys like Anderson Cooper, they're Vanderbilt's former CIA agents, and
yeah, Anderson Cooper's low-level CIA.
And proven to have lied to you before, but we're going to accept what they're talking about?
Well, and that's kind of what I mean, too, is especially in the last 4 years. And I don't think it's just because, like, I mean, I'm kind of new to all this. I've always been, I guess, skeptical, but never really dived into this stuff. I mean, I'm totally late to the game, but it's just like, right now, it's so easy to just dip a toe in. And you can get totally lost just through podcasts and Instagram feeds, and the information's all out there. So I think that's happening more and more now too, and that coupled with more and more people already kind of being skeptical and on the fence. That's what I was saying before. Is like they're kind of losing their grip, and this stuff is so easily verified now. Just and Trump's fucking calling them out, and like I don't think we're all just like gigantic Trump people here, but him just calling CNN out saying like you're fake news, like you're full of shit, because they are.
Yeah, right.
Like, they just are.
I want to get your opinion on this. This was from the Cabal thing that this was yes. So okay, so we mentioned a little bit about the Bill Gates. I don't think we've talked enough about Bill Gates. I don't think Bill Gates is getting put on blast enough for this thing. So so the Pirbright Institute, they own that coronavirus patent. Bill Gates owns Pirbright. So then Moderna, they started working on a vaccine in February, and they brought in companies Inovio, Wistar, VGXI, and Twist Bioscience. All those companies are owned by Bill Gates. Why the fuck isn't this like? And then Bill Gates and Johns Hopkins University puts on Event 201 to simulate this thing. How is this not like conflict of like if when I worked at an ethanol plant, if you hauled out a load of syrup, which costs like $30 a ton, and your uncle, you worked at the ethanol plant, your uncle hauled out a load of syrup, that was called a conflict of interest. But this fucking Bill Gates is so, knee deep in this shit.
Right. And that too, like what I was just saying, it's easily verified. Event 201, fucking Google it, and it's Bill and Melinda Gates, Johns Hopkins University, the WHO, all doing a dry run on a global pandemic based off the SARS virus.
Why aren't we talking? Why isn't this up?
Why doesn't everybody just know? Yeah,
why
know about this and scratching their head, just like which almost would kind of give you less reason to panic too. Like, oh, they know this is all by design. Go ahead.
Well, same reason. Sorry to cut you off, man.
No.
You got this damn delay. So I think that they already have Gates lined up, dude. I think that Trump and the organization already knows all of this shit, because I'm guaranteeing you that Epstein fucking tweeted like a bird and told him everything. And why, Dustin, you ask why, like, it's not being talked about in the news media, why include Google, why isn't this a fucking conflict of interest, why isn't anybody talking about it? Well, consider the source. None of these fucking media outlets want to fucking talk about this shit. No way.
Right, we just said it. They're all owned by.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
We are answering our own question.
Talk about it.
Yeah, we are answering our own question, basically.
But you know what? They're thinking that this is the black swan, in my opinion. Like, they're thinking like, oh, and the one thing I think we didn't talk about that I think is even more suspect, right? Like, Dustin, you named like 5 companies that he brought on and he owns. Let's talk about the company. And, it's funny, man. Last week I got a notification, this fucking stock app. Take a look at the company that Bill Gates just invested like $5 billion into. And it was like a little known 5G company. So let's talk about that, right?
Maybe I need to buy some shares.
Here's you know what I'm saying? Like, this could be like a whole nother fucking podcast. But think about that. So he steps down from Microsoft. He puts like $5 billion into this little known 5G company. He has a virus that is it's patented, which, again, like any disease that's patented is created. It's a fucking created fucking disease.
Yeah.
Then he starts the prep work with Event 201. He's got ID 2020 saying, oh, well, here's the need. Like, everyone needs this fucking chip now for vaccinations and for this and that and the other thing. And strangely, the 5G connection is enormous, because all the symptoms of COVID-19 are almost exactly similar to people's reaction in Wuhan, of all places. Surprise. One of the first places that they did a full install of 5G network. Like, that isn't strange. Or the fact that there's like something like 32 million less cell phone users now in China.
Jackson, what you were just talking
Yeah,
about that.
21 million phones were canceled in China, and that's an insane amount compared to normal phones canceled a month. So
Yeah, why do you think that is?
they're lying about the numbers. I think it's possible they're lying about the numbers because what was it, 5,000 deaths in China?
Do you think they want to make it look like their cell phone speeds are ramping up, or you're talking about deaths?
You're saying
No.
21 million.
No,
deaths.
there's 21 million. No. There's 21 million phones canceled. Not 21 million people die in a month in China. So there's obviously more than 5,000 accounted deaths, in my opinion.
Interesting.
So you're not going so.
I'm with Jackson on this.
Yeah,
one,
what
man.
are you saying? So you're not.
So
you're
I'm
not going so far as to say there's 21 million people dead.
No. I'm saying there's a good chance there might be a generous amount more than 5,000, at least, to say the least.
Well, I think those
I don't know
numbers,
the exact number, but
those numbers gotta be complete bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
How
who
are
are we
we
getting the numbers
supposed to-
from?
yeah, how-
Who are we getting the numbers
exactly.
the only reason we would be
exactly.
put into lockdown, 5,000 deaths in China, and it has to be something bigger than that.
What you're doing right now is exactly what I'm doing, like, in my mind anytime I start talking about this. It's like, okay, either they're lying about the numbers, and this isn't, like, you see the numbers of infected and numbers of people dead, and it doesn't really add up of, like, why. I mean, this is serious, and I'm not saying we shouldn't treat it as such, but it's like, okay, why are we being locked down? Either they're lying about the numbers, or it's our, like, superhero theory of, like, oh, we're being locked down because that's just part of the plan, and they're arresting all these fucking pedophiles and taking down all these, like, elite rings. But that's, like, for all of us, that's, like, the dance we're doing. We got a foot in both camps, like, trying to use common sense, like Ryan said, on, like, okay, like, we got to use our common sense in, like, dealing and preparing for this actual virus and the sickness that's going on. But at the same time, are we just supposed to, like, be playing it cool? Like, no, like, this is a good versus evil thing, and
They wouldn't make the economy crash for no reason if it wasn't for a bigger reason. Come on, like,
you mean a bigger reason and for good?
for good.
No, because they've made the economy crash multiple times for bad.
well, and Peter
George
Schiff,
Soros,
No, I'm saying
Soros
for
crashed
Q-
the pound, and he's literally said, "I don't give a shit about the personal fallout. I'm just here to make money." He ruined the English pound.
It
make
could be
money.
good or bad. I don't really know.
Well, one of the things I
The
just wanted to quick talk.
specifics on it.
I just want to stay on Bill Gates real quick. I just want a couple of tie-ins because, what are we getting a lot of information from? People are retweeting, people are reposting a lot of information from where? The WHO, World Health Organization. World Health
which has
Organization.
a flat Earth map in their logo.
Yeah.
Now you're speaking my language,
Yep.
baby.
And the World Health Organization was founded by John D. Rockefeller. And you know who's keeping the World Health Organization afloat right now? Bill fucking Gates. He is their major benefactor. He's the major contributor to the World Health Organization.
Dude.
So that's who's giving us all the information that we're supposed to go by, like that we're supposed to conform to this coronavirus bullshit.
Holy shit, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he runs the whole thing.
Yes, fuck yes. Why are we talking about Bill Gates? Why isn't Bill Gates
Right.
on a fucking on the gallows?
Right.
Why isn't he ready to go to the gallows right now, man?
It's just all him. Damn, dude.
Well, yeah, and Bill Gates has been prepping for this for a long time, but I feel like the white hats, as like they call themselves, there's a plan, and there's been a plan in place for quite some time. That brings up one thing that I think, because I want to come back and talk shit with you guys again because this is awesome. But there is, and I did not get this from the Q or HN or any of that shit. It's about Operation Looking Glass.
Oh yeah.
You guys know about that?
Which one's Looking Glass?
We know what it is.
I've heard.
But we just
we're like, no, man, we know. We totally.
Just tell us for our fans.
It's like when someone asks you, like, have you heard this band? You're like, I've heard of them, but I haven't heard them.
Operation Looking Glass is the Alice in Wonderland thing. Am I wrong?
No. So a lot, like, the main question about how on earth, if this really is real, like, how is Q and Trump and everybody able to prep for this stuff, and how on earth were they able to kind of turn this whole thing over?
The Nikola Tesla, Trump, Don Trump.
Could this be the Julian Assange, Don Trump thing? Because Don Trump was born in or he died in 1905, and Julian Assange was born in 1948.
Let's not forget where young Barron enters the picture with this Operation Looking Glass, right?
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. So Operation Looking Glass, piece of technology that was uncovered. It's thought to be an alien technology. It's been fought for and exchanged hands many different times, and was the reason why we invaded Iraq in 2003.
Yep, WMD's psych.
Right. So my understanding is now we are in control of it, right? Or like the people that are actually like fighting for the good are in control of this Looking Glass, and that is one of the main reasons many conspiracy theorists say as to why we are able to have all this stuff planned out. I mean, even the JFK Jr. thing, like Jackson was mentioning earlier, man, is really off the wall. But then you look at that cover of George, remember? In Fall of the Cabal?
Yep.
Remember JFK Jr., he had his own magazine brand. And he was throwing in little hints.
George. That was George.
Yeah.
George
that was George. That was George. That's okay. My bad. Yeah, you're right.
But every article.
I forgot it was called that.
They called it 2020.
Headline.
They called it what we're going to do in 2020, and that was in 1990.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, they had to be working on this forever. I mean, and I honestly feel different. Like, I know it sounds crazy. I'm not a big religious guy. I'm a big spiritual guy, as you guys probably know. But I just feel different, man. Like, I feel like out of all the conspiracies and all the crazy things that have been going on and all the terrible shit that's been happening in the world, I really feel like this time is different. Like, there's just way too much more to it.
Dude, I know exactly what you mean, and I guess you feel a little silly saying it, but it's because I feel like a lot of these conspiracies that you delve into, they've already happened. You know, it's the unreported history stuff. You know, like this shit is happening right now. We're in the middle of it, and not only in the middle of it, we're like coming to a head here. Where, like, it's either got to go down, or, like you said, if it doesn't, then it's just going to be like, dude, just letting all the wind out of your sails, you know. But it's a hopeful message for once, not just this is blowing the lid off of everything. It would be a complete reset, taking the power back, right? That's why it's exciting, if it's true. And why not
everything we've ever talked about.
Yeah.
Right. It's all one conspiracy.
Yeah.
And you got this, and that's what's so funny about it too. And again, it's like, dude, you can't talk about Trump without somebody calling you an asshole. But everybody hates the guy. So, like, doesn't that right there? And he doesn't give a shit. So that right there, it just makes you laugh when he's up at the podium. He's kind of making a mockery of himself.
Everybody hates the dude that's working the hardest, man. Everybody looks at him and says, fuck, you hate the guy that's working the hardest.
So, I guess...
But he plays it off like he's an idiot. Like, he's played it off, I think, impeccably.
Yeah,
like he is like a
water.
buffoon.
Right. Yeah, he doesn't... Yeah.
Like that shit he did, that was wild, man. That was crazy. And you know what? That water thing, like when I watched that Fall Cabal, that water thing, that was when I was still like, what the fuck about Trump? And I remember joking about Trump being like, I was like, look at this motherfucker drinking this water like a clown, man. And I was like, what the hell? And I bit into that. Fuck.
But even during
I think we all did.
Yeah, totally, man. But even during the 2016 election, he's going up against Hillary Clinton, and I know every presidential race, it's like, I guess I'm voting for the lesser of two evils, and I definitely wasn't thinking good versus evil by any means, but I'm like, God, does Hillary Clinton how can she how do so many people that consider themselves liberals get behind this
How do you
lady?
delete 33,000 emails and that's okay?
Yeah, that and just a career politician that, and not that Trump can relate with the everyday man or anything, but it's just there was all that shit of just people getting behind her because she was a female, but it's just surrounded by death and weird, not only in just being a warmonger and shit, but it just all the controversial suicides and everything.
They can literally say they know at least 30 people have quote unquote killed themselves, and 30 people who have been convicted of sex crimes against minors. Who the fuck else can say that besides the Canadian Prime Minister, who is dirty as fuck?
Oh yeah, dude.
Trudeau. Justin Trudeau.
Yeah.
Also, his dad might be
that's the thing, man. I honestly believe that none of this really is even conspiracy, what you were saying earlier. All of this stuff is just been revisionist history.
Yeah.
And now it's basically easy to say, oh, well, yeah, here's the fucking facts. Yeah, we tried to play it like it was all conspiracy, and now, as you're seeing, oh yeah, I guess it was all true. So now it almost forces people, and it's going to be really hard for a lot of people. I'm telling you, it's going to be really, really hard.
Yeah,
because
and we're already seeing
part
it.
of me said, oh, I'm sorry, man. Part of me is saying people aren't ever, I don't think, one side of me says everyone's going to come clean, and Trump and the organization and who knows, JFK Jr. rises from his grave and says, hey, this has been going on, and kids have been trafficked and murdered for this fucking drug that Satanists and all of media are taking. Maybe that is going to happen, but the other part of me says maybe this is all going to go down, and then it's going to be oh, well, they all died of the coronavirus, and it was a really sad day, and none of this is going to even be mentioned in real time because people aren't going to be able to handle it.
Oh.
So it all goes down. Well, that actually is exactly what that thing that we read on episode 7 is this was all going to go down because people couldn't handle it. Exactly what you're saying, Ryan, is people couldn't handle this. But let's real quick, talking about coincidences, Hollywood is being destroyed right now. It might never recover. Sports are just gone. Fucking gone right now, dude.
Yes.
The Catholic Church, the Vatican, closed. Priests just dying off. The whole royal family. Everything. We're seeing it all happen right now. This virus does seem to be hitting and affecting. I mean, it's affecting us all. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Well, let me pose a question, Ryan, to you first. What would you rather see? Would you rather see perp walks, or would you rather have this all taken care of behind the scenes, not rattle our cages? Because I liken this to, when you see kind of a mind-blowing movie and you walk out of that movie, I always like to think of John after he saw Ex Machina, and it basically fucking rattled his cage for about a week. And that's what we're living right now, is we could possibly see a movie that's going to rattle our cage and we'll all be awake to it, or would you rather have it taken care of without us knowing and we go about our lives like we didn't even know what was going on?
strangely, I have thought about this often, and I believe that not knowing is how we got into this whole thing. Like the truth in plain sight, the fucking conspiracy, and making truthful people look like they're insane. Like the whole like, oh, I'm comfortable and it doesn't affect me technically, so who cares? I think that I'm not going to say that's just as bad as some of the fucking adrenochrome shit and like all the God knows other fucking shit that's going on. It's not as bad, but that to me is part of the problem. Is that people, humans we need to be enlightened. And I mean, I don't mean like in a spiritual way. I mean, we need to just take the veil off, and no matter how it affects people, good or bad, I think it needs to be revealed, and it needs to be honest, because all the truth that people think they've been hearing over these last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, I mean, I'll say basically since the 50s.
Yeah.
50s.
I'd say since World War One.
The big change when this all started.
Yeah.
It's probably initially World War One, but I think TVs and the programming got into people's agenda, at least seeped into the CIA and the FBI and government. It became more prevalent in the 50s, but we don't have any truth, man. All the truth that's coming out now is just based on the internet and the fact that we all have tech that can research these things. We don't have to go to a fucking library and try to find a book, or like, people need to just rip the fucking Band-Aid off. So that was a long way of getting to your answer, Dustin. I'm sorry.
No, that's cool. But could we handle it, or would we handle it, or would we spiral? Because I know we could handle it. We in this discussion right now could handle it. But would we, as a society, spiral?
I don't think so. I think it's the same thing with the fucking alien agenda. I think it's the same thing with the whole enclosed system of fucking flat Earth. I think all of these conspiracies and truths that we all kind of have common sense thought about, the rest of the world initially may spiral. Yes, I think there may be a lot of folks are going to lose their shit, just like when Orson Welles, produced War of the Worlds. My ex-father, his brother killed himself in the back of their fucking garage.
Whoa.
When War of the Worlds came on.
Thinking that was going
and there
down.
Was a lot.
Wow.
Oh,
Are
yeah.
you serious?
Holy
no
shit,
joke.
dude.
Oh yeah.
Holy
yeah. So like, do I think that people are going to spiral? 100%. There's going to be people that lose their fucking mind and think there's no fucking way this is true. This is Trump's bullshit. He's making this up, and Trump's the Antichrist, and blah blah blah. Like, there's going to be a lot of different offshoots of this. I think in time, just if this really is happening and we're arresting all these disgusting fucking people and like taking the power back, I think we're going to heal in time as a world.
Well, and I guess that's the thing too, is that whether or not this gets exposed, like, these people, they do exist, right? And I guess when you think about like how all this started, and going back to World War One, I don't know when the TV was invented, but that's just how much everything's changed too. Is
50s, I think.
How we're like force fed, how the media has invaded our living rooms and stuff, and the news, quote unquote, is they're entertainment outlets, so we're manipulated. We've been manipulated.
Yeah, there's a quote from Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propagandist, who said, "It doesn't matter how crazy it is what you say. If you continue to say it, they'll eventually believe it." That's how you get people to buy into killing 6 million people.
Yeah.
Proven fact. The more you say it, the more people believe it is truth. And humans as beings, I'm apparently good. I really do believe that, but I also believe that we're dumb.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Like as a species,
couldn't agree more.
Like,
Individuals are smart. People are dumb.
Yeah, I mean, and it's dumb because you are, because we have feelings and we have free will and we do care, I think, about each other, whether people want to admit it or not. Like, we oftentimes believe things because we can't fathom the reality.
Well, also we don't choose where we grow up. So if you're born into a family that's just going with the flow, and like you're born into a middle class family, and you just think, well, this is the way it is, and I do this because this is what I do, and after high school I go to college, and then I meet a girl, I get married, and like there's kind of been this, even that, like people are starting to change the way they're I guess just their goals in life, right? I mean, that's all changed too. So, I mean, I think that goes hand in hand with like lifting the veil off this whole thing. I mean, there's some dark shit at the elite levels, and you don't have the time in your day to think about it because you got enough shit going on. Like, life is hard, life is busy, life is hard, you're worried about yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, that's why they created that fucking dollar, to keep you distracted.
Exactly.
They created the fucking dollar to keep you distracted so you weren't focusing on what mattered.
Exactly,
you're chasing
man.
that goddamn dollar.
And
man.
they're giving you every opportunity to dig yourself into a hole of debt so that you really do have nothing else to concentrate on, right?
Yup.
Exactly. Oh man. So
well, I think that's a really good point too, in that
finally,
I'm looking at this quarantine
2 hours
as a positive. Oh, you've had a lot of great points, man. I love you.
Sorry, I just feel like this whole time, Justin has a profound thought, Jackson has a profound thought, Ryan's spitting fire, and I'm just going, that's crazy!
It's like listening to Toby Moore's podcast.
Oh,
yeah, it's fucking awesome. Oh, that's fucking awesome. Yeah, he's like the Chris Farley of hardcore.
Yeah, dude.
Podcasts.
The
he's like, remember that one time that
totally.
we went to that place?
Actually,
that was awesome.
That was awesome.
For those, did you? Okay, yeah. I mean, not to get it off on a tangent, but now I have to because, like, I almost have a hard time listening to that sometimes. Although the Scott Vogel episode was awesome, but when he had like his own mom on,
it was.
He had his own mom on like his first couple episodes, and he's like, "Yeah, Mom, remember when I was like 11 years old and I was just skateboarding all the time in New York City?" She's like, "No, you weren't." Well, yeah, I was. She's like, "I don't think so. I think you were quite a bit older than that. I think maybe 14, 15, 16 years old." Nah, I'm pretty sure I was like 11. She's like, "No."
It's not a very good plug.
Yeah, and it wasn't even a good story. Yeah. But
Mom, I'm on the podcast.
Yeah,
shut up. So, I guess the one benefit that a lot of I think this kind of goes along with what we're all saying is, like, no matter what the reason behind this whole quarantine is, I mean, there's a lot of different thoughts. It is really forcing us to get back to what's fucking important. It really is. Like, I'm reading more. Like, I play guitar every day. Like, I'm working. Yes, thankfully. Like, I made the cut, thankfully. Yeah. But I mean, a lot of other people in my realm didn't. So I mean, I'm blessed for that. But I don't even give a shit about that, man. Like, I honestly give a shit about, like, spending time with my family and, like, being able to do shit like this with you guys and, like, Pat and Spomer and, like, having, like, legit conversations with my friends and, like, reading fucking books. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's really important things matter to me.
No, you're right. I actually, like,
and you're not distracted.
Yeah, and that is what everything that's gone away. That's all it ever was.
Yeah.
A distraction, right?
Couldn't agree more.
It's not a bad thing at all. Meanwhile, like, while we're, I feel like Ryan keeps, like, giving us great quotes to just end the podcast on. And I'm like, yeah, man.
Yeah, so anyways, check this out.
Yeah. But, yeah, dude, like, people ask you right now, like, what are you up to today? And you got to, like, feel bad about saying, like, just hanging out. But maybe that's exactly what we need a little bit more of. Just hanging out.
Like going for a walk. You know how grateful I was yesterday? Well, not yesterday. 2 days ago. It was like the first fucking day that it was like above 50 degrees and the sun was shining. Like I took my dog and like my 2 kids and my wife. We went to a fucking park, like a forest preserve park, you know, and just fucking walked around, man. Like so simple. Like, and I love to do shit like that. But in the day to day, man, like, you know, my wife, you know, before she got laid off, was the vice president of engagement for a healthcare company. You know, I'm a director of franchise operations for a hotel chain. Like, we worked a lot, and it had a good balance. You know, we still had time with our family, and like, you know, it was a balance. But like, just being able to just live simply without worrying about all this other fucking bullshit has been fantastic. And for us, like people like us fucking weirdos, it gives us more time to actually like legit research this shit and actually like build facts and like connect dots between these things, so you're not always just like a weekend warrior trying to like read up on podcasts and some fucking weirdos posts on Instagram. Like, right. It gives us time to actually like fucking be smarter.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself, man. That's fucking rock solid, dude. This will end up if this is a ploy by, you know, guys like Bill Gates and the Cabal to try something. You know, this might end up backfiring on them. We might be able to end up using this to load our guns, our mental guns. You know.
I agree with you, man. I agree. I think we're in a good place, and I've got to believe. I always believe that the good will always conquer the evil in the end, and there's definitely. I mean, if people aren't alluded to the fact that this fucked up shit is going on now, I don't know what else they could do. Like, I think that's the beauty of this whole Q thing, is that it's almost become mainstream now. Mm. It's mainstream. Right. Like, I had a buddy that I went to fucking Lutheran school with call me last night, and it was so random. He's like, "Hey, man, how's everything going? Like, the kids okay? Like, you healthy? Like, April's good?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're fine, man. Everything's good." So, you know, I always think of you about like conspiracies, because I know like you're into all that shit. What's this deal with this QAnon? What is this? Like, and I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" And he's like, "Well, I just got off the phone with like my aunt, who's like fucking like 16."
Yeah.
And like, they're like all talking about it at like a fucking church group or some shit. Oh, like, awesome. It's not just like these weird like fucking millennials or sorry, Jackson, love you, buddy.
No, I think Dustin and I are in that category as well.
Jackson's a zoomer at this point, man.
You can call me a boomer. Just say okay, boomer.
No.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, it goes beyond age now, and it goes beyond generation. Like, you got fucking grandmas like in like quilting groups being like, "Oh, well, did you hear the new Q drop about?" You know, like,
dude, but that is the beauty of it. There is no underground anything anymore, because we all have access to the same platform, right?
Yeah, right.
The fucking internet.
Yeah, you can reach your grandma by a simple Facebook share, and you're gonna hit your grandma up.
What'd you say? Is it wrong?
Is it wrong?
What'd you say? Is it wrong?
No, I don't.
Or is it awesome?
Is it wrong? No.
No, fuck.
It's not wrong.
Awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking forward to these conversations. You know, between like weird like 60 and 70-year-olds that are just like diving into the conspiracy zone because they've got nothing else to do, and
dude,
they finally have an iPhone.
I think that is what has been so cool, is like this shit. Nobody's looking at you like you're crazy if you ease into this stuff. You know, I mean, you can go from like, how was work today to, did you hear that satanic blood drinking pedophile ring might be going down pretty soon with the old Vincent Fushka coming back? You haven't seen it, just eat it right up.
Like, oh, I heard that at church coffee hour today. Yeah, I did actually, John. Thank you.
Yeah. I still have my copy of George Magazine. It's right there next to the shitter.
Yeah, did you know this episode said what we're doing in 2020, John? And I've got the whole collection. I've been looking at it.
It's the world we're living in.
Well,
yeah,
I'm
man.
going to tell you what, man. I love you guys, and I appreciate you having me on the cast. I've been wanting to do this with you for a while.
Oh, man.
Dude, we're
the
so glad to be able to
ours.
chop it up. Dude, we're so glad to be able to chop it up with you, man. We got to have you on fucking more, dude.
Yeah.
Love it.
We're gonna slice it up. We'll hopefully try to get it up right away tomorrow, as this is very time sensitive. This shit is happening by the hour, right? I mean, it's developing.
Yep.
So thank you so much.
It's a legit thing.
Yeah, dude, we've all been just so psyched about this, but I love you, man. I don't talk to you enough, so I just thought it was funny when I heard you on Patty's podcast and Spomer. I called you up and like we had so much catching up to do, but instead we just talked about flat Earth for a half hour, and then I was like, all right, I gotta go. I'll talk to you later.
Well, hey, that's the next cast, man. We got. I mean, that's like the mother of all conspiracies. You know, like how is that connected to all this shit? That's episode 2 and 3 of the special.
Oh, Ryan, you're starting to break up. That means we're getting too close to the truth.
We're getting
here.
too close to the truth. Yeah.
No, man, dude, we gotta do it again.
They wouldn't censor us if we were lying. Let's be honest.
Exactly. You know you're doing it right when they cut your Wi-Fi, man.
Awesome, dude. Well, yeah, we'll do it again for sure. I'll talk to you soon. But yeah, dude, we'll set something up again. And thank you for being patient and letting us get this all set up. This is like our first. This is opening a whole new realm for us. So.
This is another level
doing
for
the
us,
Skype.
man.
So yeah, super excited. Thank you.
Well,
so
I love
much,
it, man. I hope next time I can come there in person, man, and hang out.
That'd be fucking dope. That'd be dope.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. All right, Ryan. Thank
Once
you so
the ban
much,
is
man.
lifted, love you.
Yeah, love you too, man.
Love you, man. Take care.